Oh, YouTube has just come up on Discord. That was quick. Yeah, very un-YouTube. Lovely. I'm crossing fingers, touching wood about Wi-Fi, but because it should be okay, I'm saying nothing, just in case. Well, I think it was cursed anyway, so it's fine. I'll just give it a few minutes. No worries. I will keep talking so that you can check if you can hear me. Um, I don't know because from what I've been, uh, no, I don't. Then OBS is OBS is saying that it is capturing audio. I'm hoping it is working. It's just come up on Twitch. I'll just give everybody a couple minutes to. Oh, you have to just press C, yeah. Oh, yeah, I don't know. That's good, yeah. I'll start things off at about 5 past, just so that everybody join in. Oh, that's pretty good. Ah, is that it in JavaScript? Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Because yeah, definitely. Okay. It's a beat. This is Harleq Castle. Or will be Harleq Castle. Oh, I see. Okay. So we'll make a start, I think. Um, we'll get going. So, hello, Caleb. Welcome to the last session on Minecraft that we're going to be doing. Uh, so I've posted the world in Discord. If you scroll up a little bit in the general channel, you should be able to find it. There you go. So use that one, and then load that up. I'm just letting everybody. I'm just in the process. We're just waiting for some people to join in, and then we'll get started in a second. Okay. Did you like that sign, Joe? I thought it was great. Okay. Well, I'll start the process of going through stuff, and then we'll see if a few more people join in uh, as we're going, and then because it's quite because this week it's quite easy for people to get caught up on stuff. So we'll make a start. So what we're going to be doing this week is we've got 3 challenges. Okay, so we've got 3 different challenges, which are essentially designed to kind of like combine all of the knowledge that we've been building over the last couple of weeks. So using the agent to program the code using the code builder to program the agent to do sort of different things. So we've got like, so you know how we had using if statements, using if else statements, using while loops, all that sort of thing. We're going to be combining all of that knowledge this week into completing 3 challenges. Okay, so there are, once you've loaded up the world, you'll probably see behind you that we've got 2 mazes to start off with. Okay, so we've got a smaller maze where you'll be using while loops and things like that. So the sign will kind of help give you a little bit of a hint as to what you've got to do. And then you've also got a slightly bigger maze, which is up these stairs here inside the glass building, which follows pretty much the same principle, but you've got to build up an algorithm, okay, so a sequence of instructions to help program your agent get from the starting point, which is this green block down here, through to the gold end block, which is located on the upper floor. Okay, so you've got to program your agent to get from the start point to the end point. So this one inside of the glass cage is a little bit more confusing. Okay, there's a little bit more that you've got to think about. It's a bit harder. So those are the first 2 challenges. So I definitely recommend that you start on the one with the blue kind of concrete blocks, okay, and you make a start on getting your agent to go through there. And then once you've done those 2 challenges, we've then got a final big challenge to do at the end, which is going to be about building a replica of Harleq Castle. Okay, so there's a couple of hints on the signs, okay, and a couple of facts about Harleq Castle as well, as you work your way up to the area which you've got to build it. And essentially this is going to be where you have to really sort of use all of the knowledge that we've gained over the last few weeks in order to build this replica of the castle. Okay, so I'll show you an example of what I mean. So I'm not going to put my code on the screen just yet, but what I'm going to do is I'll show you, hopefully it'll work without me having to load the code builder. Yeah, there we go. So you can see now that currently my agent is in the process of building up a replica of Harleq Castle. Okay. So the reason that we've chosen to do this is because I'm sure a lot of you know, we're currently in the process of, there's a lot of restrictions now starting to come to an end in things like tourism sector and stuff like that, after with coronavirus and things like that. So we thought, this would be a good chance now for us to start thinking about those tourist sectors again, and to start thinking about the different castles that we've got here in Wales, since a lot of them are starting to reopen soon. So we've chosen Harleq Castle. You can see now that the agent is currently on his way around building up a little bit of a replica. Okay, so your task will be to do something similar to this, and we're happy to sort of, if you need any additional help, we're happy to kind of share some pictures and stuff like that of the castle, or some floor plans of the castle so that you can see what it's like. But ultimately these are going to be the final sort of Minecraft challenges that we're doing today. So lots of different stuff to do. Andrew is here as well. Joe is also here if anybody needs any help, and I'm here as well. So all three of us are here this week. And so that's what we're going to be doing today. Is that okay? Have you got any questions so far? No? That's fine. So if you just start working through the mazes, okay, that we've got down here, I'm going to start doing the same as well, okay, so that we're all kind of working through things together. And then if you do need any help, just let us know, okay, because we're here until 6 o'clock. So it's just going to be, this week is mainly about kind of testing your knowledge, you know, starting to see what types of things you've learned over the last few weeks. And then if you do need any help, let us know. So Caleb, if you manage to get some solutions, and you start the process of doing some building, remember you can share some screenshots in Discord of your code or of your design if you go to the castle and things like that. Okay, we'd love to kind of see what you've been getting up to. So feel free to share sort of anything with us that you manage to do. Okay. And I'm going to start off going through this first smaller maze. So I've actually already got a bit of a solution to the smaller maze. So whilst everybody is working through that one, what I'll do is I'm going to start working on the bigger maze, and then I'll talk through a bit of a solution to the smaller maze then after everybody's had a bit of a chance to kind of do things, just so that we're all kind of reminded of the different concepts and things like that we've been learning over the last couple of weeks. So let's make a start down here. Hopefully get rid of that. There we go. Okay. Yeah, exactly. So that's a good point actually, made by Andrew. So one thing that's quite important to point out here is you can actually start making use of pseudo code, okay? And you can start kind of like making a note of the way this works just by using like a pen and paper. So instead of, say, getting to the starting the program and then realizing, you know, and sort of like building it up as you go, what you can actually do is take a pen and paper and write out the code in a bit more of a say high level language, okay, so which is basically a language that's sort of a bit closer to regular English, before you can then start putting it into the block-based programmer, okay, into the code builder. So that's a really good point from Andrew there about using pen and paper. It's good to plan things before you get started, because it helps you as well to pinpoint maybe where things are going wrong as you're working your way through the program. Say that again, sorry. That's it, yeah, so it's using the chat command. I'll go through the process of how to do that now. So, first of all, you've got your code, so let's just say I open. So I've got some code on my screen now, okay, on the code builder, okay? So if I want to run that bit of code, I hit the green button, okay? So then that code builder disappears. I press the letter T on the keyboard, and then I just type in what code I want to run, the name of the on-chat command that I want to run, okay? So that on-chat command is sort of similar to like a function, okay? So you essentially use it, you can use it over and over and over again, and whatever name you've given it, that's what you then type into the chat command, and then you type that in, hit enter, and then it runs the code for you, okay? I hope that helps. So I'm going to make a start now going through the maze, the big maze, and I'll start building up an algorithm for that. Okay, so you mean like could you use, say, while loops and things like that in order to get him to go from the start to the finish type thing, so save you writing it all out? Okay, so you could definitely try doing it that way. Joe has been working on this one as well, and he's got a solution which mainly uses things like if statements and while loops in order to do it. So you could definitely try doing it that way. But the alternative is to write out the whole kind of process from start to finish using a very, very big algorithm. So there are two different ways that you can do it, and it's up to you which one that you'd like to try first. But you can definitely do it using if statements and while loops. So you could definitely try that out. So quite a lot. That's all right. Just take your time. There's no rush. No, don't get stressed. It's okay. Just take your time. There's no rush. Like I said, there's no rush. Take your time. If you want any help, you know that we're here to help if you need it. I'll start working through it. How about I start working through it with you? If I'll start on my screen working through it with you, and we'll work through it together. It's okay. Just take your time. Don't worry. Just take your time. We'll work through it. We'll work through it together, okay? We'll work through this together. You've been really, really good with Minecraft so far. No, it's okay. No, don't worry. It's okay. Yeah, of course you can. If you don't feel like you want to carry on, that's fine. Okay. So we will carry on with the session. We'll get back to doing the big one, the big maze, in a second, but it might be easier if we start off with the smaller maze, and then we'll work our way through to the bigger one afterwards once we've got a bit more of a once we start to cover some more of those concepts again. So we've got our small maze. Okay, we've got, as you can see from my screen, what we've got is starting off on the green block, and then we've got to work our way then through to the yellow, the golden block, which is over there. And what we've got in the maze are multiple blue barriers, okay, sort of blue barriers. And what we need to do is navigate around them in order to get to that golden block at the end. So here's what we'll do. I'm going to start up a new code. So I'm going to hit C on the keyboard. I'm going to go to a new project, and then I'm going to name my project something like, let's just say we'll call it Maze. We'll say Mazes, something like that. So there we go. So now we've got our onChat command and our onStart blocks already on the screen. And what we're going to try and do is program our agent to get from the start to the end. So I'm going to give my function, okay, my onChat command block, a meaningful name. So we'll call it something like maze1. So that way we can use the same coding window for both of the mazes. And then I'm going to make a start working through the maze. So different ways that we could do this. Okay, now the sign has suggested that we use a while loop, okay, and if statements. So that would be the most efficient way that we can do the code. The alternative is that we, of course, count out every single block as we work our way through the maze until we get to the end. However, that would be quite time consuming, and it wouldn't be the most kind of efficient bit of code that we could make. So the easiest scenario is to just use a while loop with some if and else statements. Okay, so I'm going to start by going through the process of this maze, and then once we finish that, we'll go on to using the slightly bigger maze. So I've got my onChat command, maze1. Okay, so there it is. And now I'm going to start programming the agent to do the maze. So first things we need to do is actually send our agent to the starting point, okay, which as you can see is 10.5.21. So I'm going to use the agent menu. I'm going to say agent teleport to. We need the agent to face west, so that's already set, which is good. And I'm going to change, at the moment, if I zoom in, the agent is currently set to teleport to being in the coordinates that are relative to the player. Okay, that's what the little squiggly line or the little tilde symbol means. So what we're going to do instead, we're going to change that to being world. Okay, we can find that in positions. So we're going to set that to being world. And then we're going to send him to 10, 5, and 21. So he is now teleported into the right place. So that's how we're going to start off. And when I run the code now, he's going to start on this green block. So once you've got that in, okay, we now need to actually start programming our agent to follow the map, okay, and follow the world to get to that golden block. So as the sign suggests, we can use while and if and else statements to do that. So I'm going to make use of a while loop, which we can find under loops. So we've got this block here, which is this while block. And of course, the while loop, the purpose of the while loop is to run some code until a condition is no longer true. Okay, so we're going to keep running code over and over and over again until the condition is no longer true. Then we're going to break out of that code and move on to whatever comes after it. Okay, so what we want this while loop to do is continue to run the code that's within it until we get to the end of the until the condition is no longer true. So I want my agent to be following this path until it reaches a wall. Okay. Now the walls, as you can see, are all at sort of different angles. Okay. So you can see that sometimes we'll hit a wall where he needs to turn left, and sometimes he'll hit a wall where we need to actually turn right. And of course, we also don't want the agent to keep moving after he's reached the gold block. Okay. Now, we obviously need to set a condition which states that while there's some tiling underneath the agent, okay, he needs to keep moving forwards. So we're going to set in some code. We're going to set a condition for that while loop. So we're going to say, whilst the agent doesn't detect any blocks in front of him, okay, so while agent, we'll use this not block from logic, while agent not detect block forward, so while there is no blocks in front of the agent. Now we can also use this AND block from the Boolean menu under the logic menu, okay, which essentially is going to say that while the agent does not detect a block in front and the agent is not on the golden block, we want him to move forward by 1. So we can say while agent does not detect a block forward and agent does not find the right one. There we are. Agent inspect block down. That's not equal to the golden block. So we'll just change that to being golden. There we go. We'll pop that in there. So I'll just run through that. So currently, what we've got in this function, okay, is the agent's going to teleport to the coordinates 10, 5, 21 within the world, and he's going to face west. And the while loop so far is saying while that the agent does not detect a block in front of him, okay, and the agent does not have the, just change that to not equal, zoom in, and whilst the agent is inspecting the blocks beneath him and it's not equal to the gold block, we want the agent to be able to move forward by 1 space. Okay? So while the agent does not detect the block in front of him and the agent does not have the golden block beneath him, we want the agent to be able to move forward by 1 space, okay, at a time. So that's what we've got so far. Once we've got that part done, we then need to state what happens when the agent reaches a wall, because currently all that's going to happen is he's going to keep on trying to run forwards until he reaches the wall, and once he reaches the wall he's just going to stop, because there's nothing to say what to do when he reaches that wall. So we're saying that while the agent does not detect a block in front of him, and the agent does not detect a block underneath him that's golden, we're going to have him move forward by 1, but then we're going to bring in an if statement, okay? So the if statement is essentially going to say if the agent comes into contact with a wall, okay, then he needs to turn in one of the 2 directions. Now, there are different ways of doing this, okay, and there are different ways to do this entire code. So this is just one potential solution that we can do, okay. So we're going to be saying if the agent detects a block forward and detects a block on his right, So we can use an AND block again from the logic menu. So if agent detect block forward, we can duplicate that and say AND agent detect block on his right. Then we would like the agent to turn left. Okay. Now what we can also do is we can add in an else if. So if you click on that plus symbol, you can remove the else because we don't need that really. And we can say, if the agent detects block forward and a block on his right, then we'd like him to turn left. Now we can duplicate that entire condition, pop that into the else if, and say if there's a block in front of him and a block on his left, then we want the agent to turn right. Okay? And we can pop that inside of the while loop. So while the agent is detecting, in fact, we'll run through the whole thing again. And hopefully this will work. So, got our onChat command, we've called it maze1. We've got the agent teleport to those coordinates within the world facing west. We've got all of our code inside of a while loop, which is going to keep repeating until the condition is no longer true. We're stating that the condition of the while loop is while the agent doesn't detect the block in front of him, and the agent inspects the blocks beneath him and it's not a golden block, we want him to move forward by 1. If the agent comes into contact with a wall and he has a block in front of him and to his right, he needs to turn to the left. Else, if the agent detects a block in front of him and a block on his left, then he needs to turn to the right. Now I'm going to hit this green button, press T on the keyboard and type in maze1, and you can see now that the agent is now off to figure out his way through the maze. Now hopefully he should be able to make it to the end, and he'll hopefully stop on the golden block as well. So let's just see if he makes it. So you can see that he's navigating around the maze very slowly. And hopefully, so you can see now that he's reached that golden block and he's now no longer moving in the forward direction. Okay, so that is how we complete the first maze. Hopefully that's clear to everybody who's watching. If anybody is watching who's not in the voice channel and you do need some help, feel free to pop some questions in the Discord, and we'll help you answer. We'll help to answer as many as we can. So that's how we do that first maze. What we're going to do now is we'll actually move on now to doing the second maze, which is the one that's inside the big sort of glass cage. Okay, and I'll use the same coding script that I used last time. Okay, use that same coding script that I used last time in order to build an algorithm to get through this maze. You can see from the sign that it's actually called a complex algorithm, and we're going to write an algorithm to complete the maze and get the agent to the gold square. Okay, now we mentioned before that there are two different ways that you can do this. You can either program the agent using, as the name of the challenge suggests, a complex algorithm, which means that we would essentially be going from the green square and counting out, okay, you know, we need to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks forward, turn right, and then sort of work our way through, turn left even, and then work our way through the maze like that. Or the alternative is to use a series of if and else if statements as well as a while loop, like we've just done in the previous maze. Okay, so there are lots of different ways that you can do that. Okay, lots and lots of different ways that you can do that, but I'm going to be building up a more complex algorithm for this one, and then once I've got my solution, I will then well, Joe has actually come up with an alternative using while loops and if statements, so we can share that solution on the Discord as well, so that people can see it if necessary, if they fancy doing it that way. So, as I mentioned earlier at the start of the stream, one thing that you can do is you can use some pseudo code to help sort of build up your understanding of the actual algorithm that you're going to need to build. Because instead of you building up, say, an algorithm as you go and you kind of count things out, you could actually work your way through the maze, okay, using pen and paper, and just count out the steps that you need to take as you go, walk your way around the maze, and then as you are working your way through, you can state, right, I need to go this many steps forward, I need to turn, then this many steps, and then turn. And then, once you've actually finished doing that, you can write down, or you can actually input that then into your code builder in order to actually program your agent, okay? So I'm going to start off on here now, going through the code that I'm going to need to get my agent to reach the gold block, which is up there. So I will get started on that now. Yes, Andrew. I think it's sharing on OBS. It should just be sharing Minecraft, but I'm not 100% sure. Oh, I think it's only sharing it like the Minecraft window on OBS, I think. Yes, is that all right, Joe? Can we share your code? Okay, cool. No, that's okay. Well, we'll share that code in a minute, and we'll do this one as well. So we'll do it both. We'll share both. Once we've got both going, we'll share both. Um, so what I'll do as an alternative, since I can't share anything like Notepad on my screen currently, is all right. Okay. Let me press pause. So if I open OBS now, I could just share it through Discord. Well, how would I add a new window then, Joe? Yeah, so I've got sources, window capture. Yeah. Mhm. Oh, right. Okay. So if I open up Notepad, there we go, and then I add a new window capture. Okay. So Notepad has now appeared. So if I say OK, can you see it now? Hopefully. Hopefully it'll catch up. You can. Cool. Ah, with that little with the so if I do that, it disappears. Hopefully, nice. Hopefully, it'll catch up and it'll be gone. Okay. Cool. Okay, that's good. So what I'll do then is I will start building up some pseudo code. So agent's going to start on the green square, and then the first thing we've got to do is have the agent walk forward 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces. So that's the first step. So we're going to have teleport agent is going to be the first step to the coordinates, and then we're going to have agent move forwards 5 and then turn to the left. So that's the first step. After he's turned left, he's going to need to move forward 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces and then turn left again. Whoops. Etc. etc. So I'm going to start building up my algorithm, and I'll have my notepad screen shared on the screen as well so that everybody can see it. And then hopefully I should be able to build up a nice long algorithm on the code builder then to program the agent to get from the start to the finish. And then if there are any bugs, we can work through those by debugging the code a little bit. So I'm going to start working my way through this now. So we've got 1, okay, so what's going to happen here? It's got to go that way. So and then forward 1, 2, turn right. And then we want to go forward 1, 2, 3, and left. And then we're going to be going straight to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and right. And then 1, 2, 3, left. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and left. Whoops. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, and left. And then forwards 2, left, and forwards 1, 2, 3, 4. So we want 2, turn left, forward 4. Okay, so now that I've got to the end of here so far, we've then got to get the agent to actually go up, because we've now reached this point. So he's got to go up 1, let's have a look. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, 4. It's got to go up 4 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 blocks. Five blocks. Okay, there we go. So we're going to say up 5. And then what way do we need to go once he's got to the top? So he's gone up 5. Then he needs to turn left twice in order to go back in that direction, so that he does a 180. So we'll say up 5, left times 2. And then we've got him to go forwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then turn right. And go forwards 2 and turn right again. So what we've got here building up now, I know I've not quite finished just yet, but we're actually in the process here now of building up that algorithm. Okay, quite a lot of distance to cover still. Okay, and it might be that we don't get it maybe first time, but that's also okay. Okay, you know, it's a whole, as I've mentioned in the past, programming, you do get your fair share of errors. Okay, they do happen. They are inevitable. So don't worry if you do find that, okay, first time maybe I've not got quite right, got it right. It does happen to the best of us, and it's all part of the process. Okay, so don't worry if you don't get it first time. You can see that the algorithm I've got is really, really big, so it's really, really long. So don't worry if you don't get it first time. So turning right here, and then we're going forward 1, 2, 3. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and turning right. Okay. Now we need to go forwards 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and turn right. Two, 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn left. Oh, let's see. Yes. So forwards 3 and turn left. So we're going to go forward 3, turn left. And then we're going to be going right down to the end. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Okay, good. And then forward 1, 2, 3, and left. And then forwards 1, 2, and left again. Okay, good. And then we want to be going 1. So we're going to be going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and left. Or are we? Trying to figure out if I've gone the right way here. Ah, yeah. So 15, and then left. And oops, don't want to do that. And then he's going to turn to the left and go right the way down to the end. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and left. So we'll say go. I hope everybody who's watching is getting on okay as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, turn right. Okay, so he's going to now be there. So forward 1, 2, 3, 4, turn right, and then forward 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4. So we're going to say forward 4, turn right, and then forward 5. So hopefully that should now be my completed algorithm to get me from the start of the maze right to the very end of the maze. Okay, so it's quite long, and writing out code like that is actually known as pseudo code, like I mentioned earlier. And it's essentially, pseudo code can be thought of as like a planning process. So you use it to plan out your program before you actually start implementing it and start writing it. Okay, so it's a process of planning out your code. Now, there's no guarantee that this will work. It might be that I put it in and find that it goes completely the wrong way, or takes one step too far, or something could go wrong. But the whole process will involve actually debugging code to make sure that you actually that you do eventually get it right. Okay, so it isn't always easy, first time, but it does take time, and eventually you will get there. So I'll stop sharing my notepad now so that you can actually see the whole thing. So let's get a new on-chat command. I'll call this one maze 2, and I'm going to start with teleporting the agent, and he's going to be going this time to 10, 6, 11, and he's going to be facing north. So there's our initial starting point. And then I need to start building up my code. So I'm going to start with by putting in all of the bits of code that I need. So we're going to be saying agent forward 5, and then we want agent turn left, etc., etc. So I'm going to build that up now, and then hopefully by the time we get to the end, he should hopefully reach the gold block, but we'll see. So forward 4, 5, forward 4, turn left, forward 5, turn right. There we go. And then we want to be going forward 11 and turning right again. And then forward 15 and turning right. And then forward 2 and turning right. And forward 3, turn left. Forward 8, turn right. Forward 3, turn left. So forward 5, turn left. So as you can see, what I'm doing here again is I'm building up that sequence of instructions. Okay, our algorithm to get the agent to get from start of the maze, hopefully to the finish, but we'll see. May have made a mistake somewhere along the way, but that's fine. Forward 2, turn left. And then we want the agent to move up by 5 blocks, I believe it was. And then turn left twice. And then move forward 4 and turn right. Okay. Forward 2, turn right. And then we've got forward 6. Okay. What was I? So forward 2, turn right. Forward 6, turn right. Forward 5, turn right. And then we have forward 3 and turn left. Okay, we've got three. So we're nearly there now. It's a very long process, but that's okay. So we've got forward 3, 8, turn right, forward 3, turn left. And then we have forward 2, turn left. And we're nearly there. And forward 15 and left again. And forward 11, turn left, forward 5, turn right, forward 4, turn right, and forward 5. There we go. So what we've got here now is a humongous sequence of instructions or an algorithm. Now, like I said, this bit of code is very, very, very long. And an alternative strategy, which we'll share in the Discord, is actually to use a series of if and else statements, okay, as well as a while loop, in order to try and break down the code so that it looks much simpler. Because you can see now, although a much smaller maze, the smaller maze has got a much cleaner, much more efficient bit of code, and the objective is often to write the most efficient code. So you could have some really, really good code that maybe is quite long but still works, but you could also have some shorter code that's slightly more efficient, okay, but does exactly the same thing. So it's all about finding the most efficient code. So we'll give this a test. I'm not sure if it's going to work, but it's worth a try. So he's off. So let's see if he makes it to the end. It's a good start. So far, so good. And he's still going. Promising. And there we go. So he's made it all the way to the gold block. So by building up that sequence of instructions there, we have managed to get the agent to reach the gold block. Okay, so he's underneath it. There he is. So what we've done there is we've built up that algorithm. We've got the agent to get from the start to the finish using a really long bit of code. Now, it's absolutely fine, okay, if you do something like that. But what I will pop in Discord is a screenshot of the code that Joe had produced. So thank you to Joe for letting us use that. Hopefully I'll be able to copy the actual photo. Hopefully this will work. There we go. So this is what Joe came up with earlier, which was a much, as you can see, it's much more efficient than the code that I had, okay? And you can see that for Joe, the code just uses a series of while loops as well as if and else if statements in order to make it to the end of the maze, whereas my code, which is on my screen now, was just a set of really, really long instructions, okay, a really, really long algorithm. So you had two choices as to what you could do there, okay. The option of programming it using while loops and if statements was a little bit harder with the bigger maze, but certainly a doable prospect, okay? And also, of course, you could see how by just planning it out a little bit more, using that pseudo code that I produced earlier, I didn't have any errors, okay? I had no errors, and I made it right the way through to the end. Now, that's not to say, of course, that pseudo code is always error-free, okay? Sometimes there are, you will encounter errors even with pseudo code, but pseudo code just helps you to visualize what you want to achieve a little bit better, and you can hopefully end up achieving something a little bit more efficiently as well if you have everything planned. So those are the two mazes. Okay, so we've got, of course, the big glass maze, and we have the smaller maze, and both of those use those programming principles that we talked about recently. The final challenge that we had planned for today is to build up Harleq, a replica, I should say, of Harleq Castle. Okay, so I've got sort of a replica here on my screen now, which is something that I produced earlier on at the start of the stream. It's very, very big, okay? It's very, very tall, and I programmed this castle to look like this using just the agent, okay? So I didn't build this myself, I used the agent in order to build that up, okay? So what I've got here is a bit of a drawbridge, and essentially the final challenge of today is to build up this castle using the agent. Now, if you manage to do that, then that's good, and you can then start working on maybe completing the interior. Perhaps you could do some things down in the beach area down here, which is behind the castle, but your objective is to keep the agent on top of the mound, okay? And I'll go through the instructions again now. So we need to recreate Harleq Castle. The agent starting position is going to be 48, 11, 16 facing west. Now the wall length is going to be how long the building actually is, okay? And it's 12 blocks in length in total, okay? So it goes 12 blocks along, okay? So it goes out to here like that. So we've got 12 blocks along. And then we have the circular corner fort, okay? So the towers on each end, they need to be 3 blocks, essentially in width in a way, okay? So they're going essentially 3 by 3, and there's a gap between each corner, okay? So that it represents more of a circle. And then finally, we also have the castle height, which is 6 blocks high. Okay, so I already have a solution, okay, for how to program the castle, and I've also got a solution for how to program the little sort of spheres that go along the top here. So I'm going to allow everybody who's watching some time now to essentially build up their version of the castle, okay, and then in a little while I'll go through my solution on how I did it and how you can do it as well, and also be sure to have a look at the facts about Harleq Castle which are listed along here. So there's some interesting facts along the signs that run along here, okay. So whilst everybody's working on that, I'm going to start working on a little bit of an interior design for the castle, which is something that you can do once you've managed to get yours completed as well. So that's what I'm going to do now. Again, if you wanted to use some pseudo code for this, you can. So if you wanted to plan out, you know, it would probably be quite helpful actually if you use some pseudo code here, just to plan out pretty much exactly what's going to happen with each corner, because the corners are the hardest part. Actually assembling the castle itself is quite easy, but to then need to try and plan out how these little corners, towers are going to work and sort of be joined to the castle, that's going to be the hardest part. So if anybody is watching, or if anybody's watching this after after sort of when you're playing this back, after we finish streaming, feel free to still send us some stuff in the Discord chat as well, so that we can have a look at what you come up with. Okay, but that's what I'm going to do. That's going to be the final challenge that we look at today. So I'm going to start building up a bit of an interior for my castle now. If you wanted to, you could use the agent to do this. Okay, you don't have to. You don't have to use the agent if you don't want to. Oops. Oops. There we go. So I've got a bit of an archway. I'm going to use some wooden floor, I think, in mine. So I'll use some wooden slabs. There we go. So I'm going to use these to build up a bit of floor, because I know a lot of castles, especially the ones that are sort of ruins of castles, often have grass floors inside of them now. But for the purposes of this Harleq castle replica, I'm going to have a bit of a wooden floor. So again, you could use the agent to do this if you wanted to. You don't have to. The interior could be quite tricky to do with the agent, so if you would rather use just sort of do it manually, that's fine. But at least try and get the castle built up using using the agent there. Yeah, good idea. We could also make a trapdoor. I will. Why not? Let's have the agent do this instead. Why not? Oops. Oh, we'll just fix them. There we go. Let's have the agent do this. Build up, see what we can build up. Absolutely. Might as well go all out. Let's doing this. Let's do it properly. Okay. Let's get some code in. You could do. Why not? Let's do that. Yeah, good idea. Let's do that. Oh, the stream's just catching up, I think. Do you think how many? I don't know if that's going to be enough. Do you think that'll be enough? I don't know. Yeah? Okay. So, am I facing the right way? Yes. Okay. Let's build this trapdoor to get to the beach. Everybody wants. Yeah. If you want, there we go. Look at that. Now, everybody wants a trapdoor to the beach. Yeah. Hidden door to the beach. There you go. So, okay. So, let's have a think. Do the trapdoor first. So let's get trapdoor. Use the oak trapdoor. Be easier. Oops. Oh, down again. Right, there we are. Okay. It's got a trapdoor, and we also need a pressure plate to activate the trapdoor, the hidden door. There we go. Look at that. I think I need a bit more space. Oh no, there we go. Oh. So, got our door. So let's get the agent to do some programming. So, let's have a think. What can we do? So we're going to want the agent to, how many rows have we got? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're 11 in. So one thing that we can do to program the agent to do this, since we know how many times, so if I have my agent do it row by row by row, okay, if I have the agent go row by row by row, since we know how many rows that we're going to be going in, we can, let's just start to begin with, actually with an on-chat command for, we'll call this one floor. We can use a repeat 4 times do loop, and we can of course change that 4 to being an 11. So this is the equivalent of a for loop. If you were looking at it in something like Python, this would be the equivalent of a for loop. And essentially we've got, because we know how many times we want our code to be repeated, we can, instead of having a condition set for how many times the code can run, we can instead use a for loop to do that, because we know how many times this is going to run. So first thing I'm going to do is, before that all starts, is I'm going to have the agent teleport to the correct tile, which is 37, 11, 15. So let's get the agent teleported over to there. Okay, lovely. And then we want to give him these wooden slabs. So let's say agent, we'll say agent set blocker item, wooden slab 64. Of course, that's going to repeat every time now. So with every iteration of the loop, the agent's going to have 64 wooden slabs placed into its inventory, so we know that we're never going to run out. And so we've got 64. We could also have the agent actually up by 1. So let's have the agent set to 12. So that way he places them beneath him. So we'll say, we'll have him go to 12. And then we'll have that, and we'll say agent place down. And then we'll have the agent move forward by 1 space. And what we could actually do is nest a few loops as well. So we know that there are 11 rows in each direction. So we could have him repeat the same code 11 times. So we could say, have the agent teleport to the correct location, and then for every single row, we would like him to place 11 slabs, wooden slabs. He's going to move forward by 1. Once he's reached the end, we'll have the agent move. What will we have him? No, we won't. Think. Let's have a think. So if he's going to get to the end, and then he can because of course when he's going back the other way, so we could do it so that he goes up and down. So let's test something out. So let's change that to being 7 for a second, and then we'll have him turn, we'll say agent move right by 1 step, and then we'll have him turn right. Oops. Oh dear. We'll have him turn right twice, so that he's facing in the other direction. And then we'll have him do that again. And then we'll have him step to the left. And turn, we'll have him just turn left twice. So turn right twice, doesn't matter which direction. And then we'll start the process again. So let's see how that goes. Well, we're off to a bad start. Because he was facing the wrong direction. So, why was he facing the wrong way? Because he wasn't facing the right way. So he was facing that way. So he was west. So let's have him facing north. Let's try that. And let's just make sure he's got the correct items in his inventory. Okay, let's try that one again. Okay, there we go. So this is working well so far. Oh, so he has gone 1 over, but that's okay. And he is missing 1 off the end of each, but he nearly got it. So you can see that there are a few mistakes in it. Just 1 or 2. But generally he has got to the end there. Almost. So we nearly did it. But you can see that, you know, as I mentioned before, sometimes mistakes do happen. And it's all about working through it to see if you can fix them. Oh, so he's just started setting the wrong type of block is all that's happened there. He's just started to try and set the wrong type of block. So we'll fix that we'll just fix that ourselves. We'll fix that one ourselves. So he accidentally started setting the wrong block, but we'll fix that. Well, sort of fix that ourselves, even though it's the wrong colour. So let's get these slabs officially fitted. Now we have covered up the secret door, so we better find that again. There we are. There it is. So we've now got our secret door. So we've got some floor. We've got a secret door that goes down to the beach, which I think everybody likes. Everybody wants to have a secret door to the beach. So done some interior design work on Harleq Castle. So I'll run through a bit of a solution now to sort of show how we got our Harleq Castle constructed using the agent. Okay, I'll go through the code and then we'll so that we can see how it actually works. So if I load up the code builder, we'll open up the castle script. Okay, so we'll start off with the actual castle script itself. So the code that's on my screen now is the code that we used in order to actually build up the castle itself. Okay, so there are different ways that you can do it. Okay, lots of different ways that you can do it. But this was the way that we found sort of the easiest, so to speak, just so that we're actually able to have the rounded edges, well, sort of rounded edges on the tower blocks, okay? Because ultimately the tower blocks are round, okay? So if I run through that code, so naturally we have to begin the function, okay, our on-chat command, by teleporting the agent to the correct place. So that was 481116 and facing west. Okay, so that was the correct place that he needed to go. And then what we found easier is when you're placing objects in Minecraft using the agent, it's easier if he has them placed down. So that way he can place an object in every single place that he goes directly beneath him, as opposed to them having to go having to place them behind him, because if he's moving forwards and he needs to place an object in front of him, it's going to mean that when he tries to take a step forward, he's going to end up walking into it and he's not going to be able to proceed. So by having the agent levitate up the equivalent of one block and then have it set blocks beneath, that way it's easier then to kind of continue to have him sort of place objects. And then you can see that it looks very daunting because we've got several loops inside of several loops inside of several loops, but the concept is generally quite straightforward. So I'll cover each individual thing in turn. Okay, so we have this outer loop. Now the big outer loop that we've got here is our big outer loop that we've got here determines how high our castle is, because everything that's inside of it involves the actual placement of the walls. Okay, so we've got the placement of the walls. So the outer loop dictates how many times we need to kind of repeat everything that's going on inside of it. So that's how tall our wall is going to be. Now, in order to make sure that we didn't ever run out of blocks, we had the agent set block or item block repeated every time the loop needed to reiterate. So that way we knew that we were never going to run out of blocks when we were building the castle. Okay. So inside of that, you can see that we have this really big repeat 4 times loop, and the purpose of that loop is it repeats every single wall. Okay, so there are 4 walls on the castle, and 4 towers. So as a result, we need to build the towers and the loops with every single iteration. Okay, so we would do that using the repeat 4 times, and with every single iteration, we would have all 4 walls and all 4 towers rebuilt. Now, this mini repeat 12 times loop is about placing the actual walls, the placement of the walls. Okay, so we've got 12 blocks in total, and they run down the full length of the castle, and they lead down to the end where we then produce the towers. So we've got 12 times the agent's going to place down a cobblestone block and move forward by one each time, so that we always end up with a long stream of 12 blocks. And once he's completed pulling down those 12 blocks, we then need to produce the towers. Now the towers have 4 sides as well, and each one is 3 blocks in length. Okay, so for each side of the tower, we need to place down 3 blocks, move left, place down another block, move left. Then in order to get the angle so that it sort of looks like a circle, the agent needs to move left, turn right, then turn right again to make sure they're on the next side, and then start the placement of the blocks on this side. So we start off on one side, move around to the next side, move around to the next side, and move around to the next side. And once he gets to the end, he then turns right again, as you can see here, and then continues onward down to place the next 12 blocks and the next 12 blocks. Once he's done all of this 4 times to complete all 4 towers and all 4 walls, he then moves up by 1 so he can start the next layer of the wall. And the whole process starts again to build up the next layer, and that repeats 6 times so that the tower ends up being exactly 6 blocks high. So that's how we build the tower. Now obviously doing the floor inside, that's obviously a bit different. Okay, so the floor inside is slightly different because what we're doing there is programming the agent to just go up and down in different rows, but if you want to do that yourself, you can. But I've also got these little tower spears, okay? And the little tower spears were a separate bit of programming, and it's actually quite a simple, sort of straightforward bit of code. So what I'll do is I'll actually destroy them and we'll go through them again so we can see them in action. It'd help if I didn't actually destroy the tower in the process, the castle, sorry, in the process. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to stand on the edge here. Sort of look at So, I've got my spears, and you can see that what I've done is I've initially had him teleporting to the location, which is pretty much directly above the castle here. Okay. And then once again, I've got 64 of the cobblestone blocks placed into the agent's inventory so that I'm able to actually work my way through placing them down in turn. And again, because there are 4 sides to the castle itself, okay, we need to place 4 sets of spears around the length of the castle. Okay, so we've got 4 spears. 4 sides to the spears, and we need to place 4 spears with each side of the castle. Okay, so we're going to be placing them down 4 times, and in order to allow a bit of a gap between each one, the agent's going to place down, he's going to move forward 1, 2, 3 blocks and then place the next one, and then that's going to repeat so that you end up with 4 on each side. Okay. Oops. Get back to the code builder. And then as soon as he gets to the end, as soon as he's done that 4 times and he gets to the end of each side of the wall, he's going to turn right, and the process will repeat again so that he can get the next set of walls done, and the next set of walls, and the next set of walls, so that we end up with 4 sets of spears. Now, I will demonstrate this code in action, so you can see there he goes. It's working his way around, and you can see that we've now completed all of the spears on the actual castle. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, there's a lot of loops involved, a lot of those programming principles that we talked about before involved, but generally it's a combination of everything that you've learned over the last few weeks that we've got here. Okay, it's a big combination of all of those stuff that we've been learning over the last few weeks and over the last and even with the stuff that we were doing with Game Fruit as well. Okay, it's a combination of everything that we've been learning there with, like I was saying, if statements, while loops, for loops, okay, all that sort of thing. It's a big combination of everything that we've learned over the last few weeks, and that's really what programming is all about, really. It's a lot of using very, very similar concepts to complete different tasks. Okay, so the idea is that we have lots of different concepts, well, the same concepts, but to complete different tasks. Okay. So the final thing that you can all sort of spend some time doing once you've got your castle completed, like I said, is designing a bit of an interior. Again, you can use the agent to do that, or if you wanted to, you could use just sort of build it yourself, okay, sort of manually, which is also fine. But I'd like to kind of conclude this session with a little bit of a reminder and a little bit of a roadmap as to what's to come over the next few weeks. Okay, so for anybody who's watching this back, this is what's going to be happening next week, and I will put a message to remind everybody in Discord as well. So we've got no coding clubs now, no techno clubs, or at least the Wednesday techno clubs, okay, will not be run for the next 3 weeks. So the Wednesday techno club sessions will not be held now for the next 3 weeks, okay? So that is to make way for the Summer of STEM activities, which techno camps are going to be running from next week. So we've got, as I've mentioned last week, we've got 3 weeks of activities happening every day, Monday to Friday, for 3 weeks, okay? Starting up from August the 3rd, for 3 weeks, we've got activities happening by delivery officers from across Wales, okay? So Andrew's doing a session, there's a session which Joe and I will be doing, there's delivery officers from South Wales, okay? Jack, who's runs the Thursday Coding Club, is also doing a session. Okay, so there's lots and lots of different delivery officers from across Wales hosting sessions for 3 weeks, every day for 3 weeks. So I know that some of you have signed up already, which is fantastic, but feel free to, if you haven't signed up, then I would really definitely encourage you to sign up now, because it's really, really exciting. There's a whole bunch of different things going on, so it's definitely worth taking a look at for the summer. Okay, so definitely have a look at that. So we've got Summer of STEM happening for 3 weeks from August the 3rd onwards. And then from the 26th of August onwards, the Coding Club sessions will be resuming as normal on a Wednesday between 4 and 6. Okay, so we will be back again at the end of August. So don't worry. Okay, we will be continuing on August 26th with the normal sessions. It's not going to be on Minecraft. Okay, we are going to probably do something slightly different. And it might be we're currently in the process of thinking about types of things that we could do. So by the end of August, we will be back, August 26th. However, until then, I hope everybody has a really good summer break. I hope that everybody who is or has already signed up for Summer of STEM has a really great time. Hopefully you'll see, hopefully you'll be in some of my sessions with Joe, and also in Andrew's session as well. So there's lots of different things happening. So hopefully we'll see you in some of those sessions. And otherwise, I think we'll conclude everything there. Thank you all very, very much for taking part in these Coding Club sessions. I hope that you all enjoy them. And thank you for all of the tips and things that you've been giving me with Minecraft. I hope you've enjoyed doing Minecraft sessions. It might be something that we bring back in the future. But I hope that you have enjoyed the Minecraft sessions. and for teaching me all of the different things. That, of course, because as I mentioned before, I'm very new to this as well. So thank you all for sort of sharing your knowledge with me, and sort of well done for the work that you've achieved over the past 5 weeks. Is really commendable. It's you've all got a fantastic talent in Minecraft, and sort of well done for producing such sort of spectacular work. So I'm going to round things off there. Thank you again for joining in, and if you're not in the Summer of STEM activities that Andrew and Joe and I have got and things like that, I will speak to you all on August the 26th. And like I said, I'll put reminders up in Discord about that as well. So thank you very much, everyone. I'm going to stop the stream now, and then Andrew, I'll have a chat with you in Techno Team.